Ladies and gentlemen, out of nowhere, Brian Anderson has signed with the Milwaukee Brewers. Where did this come from? Like, that is what I'm confused about. It is 10:08 right now. I couldn't see the time. It is 10:08, and this news dropped maybe 10 minutes ago at most, and I was just scrolling on Twitter, ready to go to sleep, and boom, news drops out of nowhere, and I'm like, I gotta go record. So, first, let me know what you guys think about this free agent signing. Is this good for the Brewers? Is this an interesting move by the Marlins to not re-sign Brian Anderson? I like I said, I hadn't heard much about this guy, and really, he's not as big of a name as he was in previous years. He has really kind of taken a decline in the last 2 or so years. But this is still a bigger name on that Miami Marlins roster that is not going to be on that roster anymore, especially now that they are, no longer on the same team. So, let's talk about this. Brian Anderson, who played third base, and right field, last year played in, 98 games. He was hurt with a wrist injury for a while. He really did not have a great season, has not put together a full season since 2020, where he played all but 1 games in that COVID year. So last year I know he had some shoulder problems as well. Kind of had some injuries lately, but 98 games last year, had a .222 average, an OPS plus of 87, which is the worst of his career. He had 8 home runs and 28 RBI, throwing a stolen base as well. Did have over 100 strikeouts. I mean, this is your classic bigger power hitter kind of guy who, again, is aging a little bit, probably just past his prime. Of course, you can see that in the decline. Now he's going to be 30 years old, right? So those are his numbers. And I mean, from a standpoint of those numbers, it makes sense why the Marlins wouldn't want to sign him again. But like I said, this is coming out of nowhere. I didn't think the Brewers or any other team was going to sign him, and honestly, he probably could have just walked into the sunset, or the Miami Marlins would have signed him again because they need another guy or whatever, hey, come join the team for 1 more year, and we'll try to trade you or something like that. That's just what the Marlins do. They like to take guys who are like 30 years old or older, put them on their team for a 1-year deal, trade them at the deadline. Like, that is what they do. So it kind of would have made sense for that to happen here. It obviously didn't. And now the Brewers pick him up. And I think this is a big, ballsy move for the Brewers. And I think they almost had to do this, right? I think that's more what I think had to happen. The Brewers are in a very interesting spot. You already know that the Cubs signed Dansby Swanson, Trey Mancini, Cody Bellinger. They are really kind of, it's a weak division. It's a competitive division because it's weak. You've got those guys who are likely going to compete in the NL Central now. The Cardinals, obviously, Wilson Contreras, if they go get Pablo Lopez, they still have their core pitching. Like, they are pretty solid still. And I think still clear favorites in the NL Central. Again, if they go get Pablo Lopez, I think it kind of blows it out of the water to get one more solid starter. And the Brewers, though, they are in that interesting situation where what really are they doing? Like, who are their stars anymore, right? You look at Garrett Mitchell, who's up and coming. I mean, they're going to really have to rely on him. Did they just sign Jesse Winker? Sorry, my bad, put an L in there. When did they get him? Honestly, that I'm not sure, but they're going to have to rely on him, I guess. Christian Yelich, of course, you would love to have some sort of good season from him. Is that really it? I mean, what are you hoping for? Rowdy Tellez to have a breakout season? Urias to finally do something? Like, where are they really going, right? I'm not saying Brian Anderson is by any means the saving grace to this team, but they had to do something. And this is a guy who will give you some home run power. He is going to give you some playing time if he can stay healthy. But really, he is, I wouldn't say a bench guy. He probably is a bench guy, but he is a guy who will give you a spot that is quality, right? Like, he is not a filler, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, he might be a bench player, but he is not a filler. And again, this is what the Brewers had to do because they are in a situation where they are competing against Dansby Swanson. They are competing against the Cardinals and Arenado and Goldschmidt and Contreras and all that, that is a pretty solid team over there. So they even got rid of Renfroe. Like, that's the big name that I was thinking is, like, they got rid of Renfroe. What are they going to do to replace him? And it looks like this is kind of the answer until they can bring up some young talent and, again, rely heavily on Mitchell and Winker and Yelich. So from that situation, it really looks like the Marlins did what they needed, right? They got their years out of Brian Anderson. He was pretty much like, can somebody maybe help me out on this down in the comments? I think he is the guy, the longest guy in that system now from like the 2017 season, right? Like when 2017, was it the first year that the whole new ownership and everything took place? Maybe it was 2018. Maybe I'm totally wrong on both of those. But like that was the year where they kind of shifted and they got rid of Yelich. They got rid of Realmuto. They got rid of Stanton. Like, that was the year that Jeter came in, right around this time at least. And honestly, I think that this is the longest guy in the Marlins roster, or at least, like, he is the last guy notable from that 2017 kind of era. He's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say legend, but he's kind of that guy, right? He is that last leg for the Marlins. And that just tells you how bad the Marlins have been in the last 6 years because they haven't done anything. They won a playoff series during the COVID year, I guess. But that's it. Like, they need to figure something out. But, like, that tells you the story of the Marlins in the last half of a decade, right? And to see this guy go, it is, I mean, like, it's a storybook ending in the sense that you can start new, and I think they are trying to. They have a ton of young pitchers. They are ready to go with Sandy. Like, hopefully they don't trade him, but like they are dealing out their good guys that they have excess of Lopez. I know they got rid of Rojas. Like, they are trying to go get some talent to bring in and filling some spots. Right, Anderson, like he was a filler spot. On the Marlins, he was a guy who wasn't going to play every day or got hurt and couldn't play every day. But now that opens the door for another minor leaguer to come up. They have a great minor league system. They still traded a ton of guys away. But they have a pretty good minor league system. Troy Johnston, I mean, we could go to their prospects. I was looking at it earlier today. Let me pull that up. Again, Marlins prospects. I'm a big Troy Johnston fan, by the way, and I want him to get his shot, and I hope he does. Honestly, I don't know if he will or not. But, like, you look at some of these guys, they are so young. Khalil Watson, young. He's 19. You got Jose Salas, 19. You got Perez, 19. Jacob Berry, 21. Young guys. Dax Fulton, 21. Young guys. And they need to go get rid of these guys. Like, obviously not signing Brian Anderson gives a spot up for like Troy Johnston, who is 25 and needs to come up. But like, it gives them a spot, and it opens the door for this younger group of guys to get ready to come in. And like I said, you've got Blade, you've got Encarnacion, you've got these guys who are already there. They just need time. And now you don't have to fill up a roster spot with Anderson. You're opening up the next wave of the generation of Marlins to come in. Things are looking good on that front. And hopefully you can make a good trade with Lopez and maybe a couple of other guys, right? I don't think like signing Segura or, I mean, that's Yuri Gurriel is the right move, right? Like, but from a Brewers perspective, you needed to try something. This was their hurrah, like their effort. I don't know if it'll work out. I don't think so. I think that the Brewers are just behind the eight ball in terms of even the Cubs, especially trading away their talent last year. So let me know what you guys think. If this is a big signing or not. And even if it's not a big signing, is this an impactful signing? Will it mean something? Is he trade bait for July? Is he going to be an everyday starter? You know, tell me what you guys think down in the comments. And that's all I got for you guys today. From both sides, I think it's a good situation for the Marlins to be. It's an effort for the Brewers. We'll see what happens. But hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you did enjoy, and we'll see you next time.